Hey, welcome to ACM Live. Today you're going to find out how many people are from Mexico City on LinkedIn, as well as why I moved to Mexico City. And in the end, I'm going to share with you why I am very sour about the museum from Obama Presidential Center. Okay, just give me a second. I'll be right back. Welcome to this edition of ACM Live in Mexico City. And today I'm going to talk about how many LinkedIn users are from Mexico City. If you are joining me for the first time, not to worry. This is a casual conversation where you and I geek out about numbers, as well as I show you how this incorporates with your business when it comes to live streaming. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and I run AC Marketing. We do multiple things, but the majority of what we do have to do with live streaming. So we take live streaming content and we basically make it just a plethora of information for a content calendar. So if you don't know what this means, that's okay. I'll explain it later. So let's get down to it. So the format of this show is I share with you what is the data, because as you know, there's so many people out there sharing their opinions, and I think they have enough of that. So for this particular session, we're gonna look at Mexico City, and we're gonna look at how many individuals from Mexico City are on LinkedIn. So if this is the first time you're joining me, not to worry. In previous episodes, I looked at Trinidad, I looked at Barbados, I looked at Jamaica, which combined is still not more than Mexico City, which is no shocker. But at the same time, I would have shown you how to access this so you could check it and see how you go into this. Anybody has access to this. Once you have a LinkedIn profile, you don't need your credit card information. You just need to type in on your profile at the top right hand side. There's a drop down under your face. You'll see advertising, right? So you set up a mock campaign so you can see the data. This helps you decide how you're going to actually do a campaign. A social media strategy without data is just vibes, and we're not here for that. So we are going to look at our targeted audience today, and we're looking at Mexico City. And this is specifically, there are multiple options. Let me just show you when it comes to Mexico City, which, by the way, has over 20 million people. It is ginormous in size as well. It's insane because I remember going to an event, which I thought was outside of Mexico, and we were driving for like 40 minutes, and they're like, well, we're still in the city, and that's without traffic. So anyways, when it comes to Mexico, specifically Mexico City, we're looking at 4.5 million people that you have access to. Now, as I would have shown in previous sessions where I looked at Trinidad and the other Caribbean islands, that is quite a lot. This is a little different with the Caribbean because when you have a bigger audience, you want to be more granular, because if you are too broad, you're going to waste money on clicks that people you do not need to give LinkedIn more money, which, by the way, LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft. So that's a multi-billion dollar company. So we're looking at job experience, we're looking at job seniorities. And in previous sessions that I've shared with you, that LinkedIn has trained in their training session showcase that you should opt out, meaning that you should exclude. But I found I've gotten better results when I include who I want versus excluding. Excluding, I find, is too broad of a session. If you want to know what that means, I'll explain that later. So we're looking at senior, manager, director, VP, CXO, partner, and owner, right? So that gives us a million individuals. And if we want to narrow even further and we want to look at their job experience, and we want to look at their functions, because if you are in marketing like I am, you are looking at folks in the same industry, right? Marketing, as well as sales, And you would have learned in this previous session joining me that business development is also categorized as a form of sales. So if we're looking at individuals who are in Mexico City with senior positions, leadership roles, we're looking at close to 300,000 individuals, which actually isn't that much in the grand scheme of things, but it's ideal because 0.1% of that is still more than if you were to host, an event with 100 people, spend thousands of dollars and not get the return on investment. So I think this is extremely important for anybody. Let's do one more category because I don't want to be selfish and just think about myself. So let's say that your job requires you to connect with individuals in HR, which is one of the best places. LinkedIn is one of the best places to reach these individuals. So as you can see, we're looking at 44,000 individuals. Sorry if I didn't mention that before. When I was mentioning the 300,000, you will see the breakdown on the right-hand side. And what you can do is look at the estimates that LinkedIn is giving you in terms of the average reach that you're going to get. I don't want to get into too much of the content because different types of content get you better or worse click through rates, because I think videos for the campaigns that I've run have not been great. So this is giving you an insight. And what's interesting is this is a warning from LinkedIn, basically telling you that this is too granular of a group, so you wouldn't be able to run campaigns efficiently, right? I have to caveat this with everything I said before. Just note that that was under the impression that the folks' profile would be in English. So that changed from 44 to 39, right? So that's very, very interesting, because what you may need to do is run two different ads, one in English and one in Spanish. And I find that that is way more cost effective than just running something that's in bilingual. Meaning if you do English and Spanish, sometimes it doesn't get, I don't know if it's a brain thing, technology, I don't know. But what I've realized is when I do campaigns that's in the Caribbean and I put the word Caribbean, it's never as effective as if I put the specific country, meaning Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica, and so forth, or Curacao, as people are now discovering. So if we go back to what I was doing before, let's go back to the Spanish, right? So the audience has their profile language in Spanish as 890,000 individuals who have leadership roles. If we go to English, it goes up to 1 million. So it's fascinating what data can do and what you can do with that information. So we all have to be mindful when it comes to starting campaigns. You don't want to be haphazard about it. You want to make sure and have that information so you know exactly how to reach those individuals. And to answer the question that I started, I moved to Mexico City because I wanted to learn Spanish, and Mexico is the largest country in the world that speaks Spanish. I mean, people in Spain might not like this, but it's one of the most, if not the most impactful Spanish-speaking country in the world. I said it. Okay, so I'm going to go on a break, and when I come back, we're going to look at Sales Navigator, and I want to give you some insight on something I've learned recently with the job alerts, because a lot of corporates of America, companies in America, are doing something that's quite interesting that you may be intrigued to find out, especially if you're looking for a job. I'll be right back. We're going to head over to the comment section because I don't want it to run away from us, and there are a lot of questions. So we're going to start with Priya. How do you determine as a first-time homeowner the amount needed for legal, closing fees, and stamp duty? Welcome everyone today, because we have so much to get into. I know we are in different parts of the world, dodging the rainy season that it is meant to be in the Caribbean. And welcome back to this edition of ACM Live in Mexico City, where we're going to cover what's in the title: how many LinkedIn users are from Mexico City. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and I'm the CEO of AC Marketing Caribbean. We focus on live content and basically funneling 60 minutes of content into months and months worth of content that you don't have to sit down and figure out for yourself. So stick around. There's a lot to learn. I just before the break, I covered the LinkedIn space when it comes to we discovered 33 million in Mexico, but 4.5 million in Mexico City, as well as you have to be mindful when you're looking at how, if Mexico City is part of your portfolio and KPIs, people are treating the platform differently, meaning your profile could be in English and you're in Mexico City, or it could be in Spanish. And one of the things we're going to learn today is there's a growth of individuals coming to Mexico. There have been a few protests about it, but that's not what this session is about. So what we're going to look at is the Sales Navigator, which a paid feature from LinkedIn. So this is, I'm no way affiliated with LinkedIn in any way, but I do have some free invitations. If you want to try it out for a month, I could actually send that to you. So what we're looking at is the back end of the data. So previously I looked at the LinkedIn Ad Manager, which is a free space where it gives you information specifically to drive you to spend money in platform for advertising. This is different. This is one-on-one. LinkedIn Ad Manager is one-to-many. So what this allows you to do is basically toggle the filters to decipher who's the person and the outreach that you're going to basically have a strategy towards. And what we're going to do is teach you how to look for these individuals, but also get some data, right? So we're looking at Mexico City, and we are going to look at individuals who recently posted on LinkedIn. Now, in the past, I'd have shared that I've done quite a few of these LinkedIn courses. And one thing they've taught you is if you are looking to get a high response rate, you want to outreach to individuals who are active on the platform, but also who've changed job recently, because those are the people who are making changes. So when I did this for the other Caribbean islands, it was interesting because it did make sense to toggle both of these options, which is changing jobs and posting on LinkedIn. Let me just increase that so you can see, which is here, because it ended up being too little of an audience. But when we are dealing with a country that has just 20 plus million in the city alone, it gets a little different. So I'm going to reduce this because I want you to see this is looking at 6,000 individuals. So not many of us have time to sit down and type out 6,000 people. Yes, I know AI could do it, but so many of us are just exhausted by the quick question as a subject matter for their messages, cannot stand it. So let's look at the functions. Let's say that you are looking at a service product and you want to reach out to individuals in the IT space. This is very interesting, and it gets you to a point where it's from 6,000 to 3,900, where we have individuals who recently changed jobs, recently posted on LinkedIn, and are currently IT professionals. So the theme of this show, unfortunately, is we're going to have to ignore the entry level people. So you can exclude that. And that now reduces it to 91 individuals. So these are individuals who you are wishful and hopeful have budgets to be able to put aside to pay you for a service that you believe they need. So let's toggle this again. Let's remove IT. And let's look at HR, because I love to use HR as a great example, because that's one of the founding parts of LinkedIn. That was the core. So we're looking at 146 individuals. You can go deeper into this, meaning you can look at years in the position, current job title. A lot of companies, for instance, you may want to be part of the expansion because a lot of American companies are expanding their business as well as their staff, their working staff in Mexico City, because they've realized that obviously there are a lot of Americans moving to Mexico City, cost of living is cheaper. So they have a lot of job positions which include Mexico City, and a lot of them don't require you to even have English as have Spanish as your language, which says a lot. We're not going to go into the dynamics of, the gentrification and conversations. This is more looking at the data. So what I wanted to show you as someone who may be looking, let's say, for a job, let me see. I'm just gonna, alrighty. So, all right. So I set up job alerts, which, you know, you can do that as well. Everybody can do it. This will send you, you can set up filters, and it will send you jobs that are available in the industry and the location that you want. Specifically, when we're talking about Mexico City, let me just make sure you can see what I'm seeing. You can look at companies. So, assuming you do have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I'm going to go into accounts. We started off with leads, which by the way, that was a one-to-one. You're going to head over to accounts, and this is going to show you how companies are treating LinkedIn. Meaning, if for instance you're looking for a job, you can see the hiring growth expansion. There's notifications from LinkedIn saying this company is hiring. As you can see in Grupo Modelo, hiring on LinkedIn, right? So there are a lot of options. You just need to know how to navigate it. But in the context of, let's say, you have a B2B business, what you want to be able to do is look at the headquarters location. Now, this is tricky because there are a lot of companies that are headquartered in the US and moving a lot of their work in terms of their staff to Mexico City. So you can change this depending, but we're not going to get into the technicality of it. For now, what we're going to look at is the headquarter location. They have 59,000 or 58, sorry, thousand results, meaning these are LinkedIn pages. They may not necessarily be active, but you can look at active, sorry, words are hard. Job opportunities. So hiring on LinkedIn, there are 550 companies that are hiring on LinkedIn in Mexico. So this result will more than likely be specific to Mexico. Whereas if you had company headquarter locations in the US and they're outsourcing to Mexico City, it would be different. So I'm not going to get into that because, that's not something I want to focus on right now, but I wanted to share with you because I had comments in the previous live show asking about searching for a job. And this is one of the ways that you can do it. So, what you can also look at is recent activity, senior leadership changes in the last 3 months. There's 128 companies that have done that, as well as funding events in the past 12 months. And there are 2 companies that have done that. You can look at connections, so first degree connections, meaning individuals who work at these companies. So that way you have a way in to say, hey, I have this service, I have this product. Who do I need to reach out to? Maybe you could connect me to them. So this is using the data that people have entered on their LinkedIn profile to allow you to not have to navigate, I guess, in the real world, because good gosh, traffic in Mexico City, it takes sometimes 20 minutes to go 4 feet based on a true story. So you can link this to your CRM, but that's a whole different price range that we're not going to talk about. But you can also save accounts when it comes to ensuring that you are having quality leads. You want to make sure that the business has a specific head count, because a lot of the times, because we're looking at more than half of this 58,000 results of companies, more than half is only 1 to 10 employees, right? So what you want to be able to do is navigate this information to ensure that you are reaching out to the right individuals. So let's look at over 10,000. And this is super interesting because I've said this in the past. Usually it's public sector and financial sector who employ the most people. So we're looking at Banamex, which is a bank. We're looking at Telcel, which is the biggest thing. Digicel, if you're, well, not really Digicel. Well, it's big, right? So we're looking at universities, insurance, supermarkets, banks, media, right? It's interesting because in seeing parts of the government, but not all. So this is giving you some great insight into who's online here. When it comes to 1,000 to 5,000 individuals, sorry, accounts, because that's different to leads. These are companies. We can go even more granular and look at department count, accounting. Department head count, meaning if you are looking for, let's say, a company that has an IT department, an IT department of one is a little difficult if you have a high value product, right? So just be mindful of those things. And all of this is information is going to drive you to understand how to reach out to these individuals and where in the sales cycle that you can speak to them, because these can be in companies that you're reaching out now to, but you're not going to get anything from them until like 5 months from now based on their fiscal year. Now, I just want to say this annual revenue to me is a little tricky. I don't think how real it is, but take it with a grain of salt when it comes to what the companies are making, because this is an aggregate of information that may not be real, because like a lot of celebrities would be on interviews and people tell them, hey, well, I saw you worth there this amount, and they're like, I wish. So take this one with a grain of salt. But this is fantastic information if you want to learn what is happening in a specific country. We're looking at Mexico City today, obviously. And when it comes to jobs, again, I'm just going to go back to the job opportunities options here. Company headcount 1,000 to 5,000 in Mexico City, hiring 61. That's fantastic information. You could delve more into it by setting up job alerts, but that's not what this session is about today. So I hope that was useful. I'm going to go on a break. When I come back, I'm going to talk about why I'm so sour about the Obama Presidential Museum. I'll be right back.
Throughout the development process for HBO, I just remember being really impatient because I had come from the internet and I was like, why is this taking so long?
And you started on YouTube.
Yeah, I started on YouTube with a web series called Misadventures of an Awkward Black Girl. Was the third web series I ever created.
I remember it too.
Yeah.
I remember you started that season with like $25.
Throughout the development process for HBO, I just remember being really impatient because I had come from the internet and I was like, why is this taking so long? Like, I could create this in 2 minutes and it'll be out there and I think people will like it. But thinking about where the show started and where it ended up, I'm so happy we took that time.
And welcome back to this edition of ACM Live in Mexico City, where we speak about how many LinkedIn users are from Mexico City. Overall, this series is showcasing how you can utilize the data on LinkedIn to reach your customers, usually in the B2B sector, but if you have B2C, the same strategy can be applied. I'm your host, Pauline Joseph, and I work at AC Marketing Caribbean, where we utilize live streaming to ensure that you don't have a lot of work to do. We just use the live stream and create a lot of content. If you want to learn more, just go to our golive.acmcaribbean.com and you'll see more about that. So I don't have much time because we already covered the amount of people who are from Mexico City on LinkedIn. Spoiler alert, it's things like 33 million. Um, as well as no 33 million in all, but in Mexico City 4.5. Oh my gosh, where my god, my brain, because it's 20 million inhabitants, so it's 4.5 million users. Okay, so you don't worry, you can check it on a replay once this live is ended. As well as we looked at the accounts, which are the businesses that are on LinkedIn, and the leads, which you can do one-on-ones with Sales Navigator. So the context of this is using this information so you could drive a content strategy with your live streams. And speaking of live streams, one of the most important one happened last week. And I am on my way to Illinois, aka Chicago. And I was like, okay, let me go see this monumental, monument of importance for America. And I apparently decided too late because, guys, initially when I went on this site, which was like last week, the available tickets was two in November. Now there are literally no tickets. No tickets. So, yeah. But I say this to say, obviously, it's important, it's impactful. But I want to talk quickly about what the Obama Foundation did with owning their content, which is super important for you as a business, as a small business, as a big business, as a content creator, right? So I spoke about this with I Show Speed, and he's doing the same thing with World Cup. But I think this is extremely important for you to understand how live streaming works, because they own this media and they disseminated it across multiple platforms, digital, traditional. And what you'd have seen every time it was replayed is this thing right here. This thing right here. Let me make sure you can see it. All right. So you see their logo at the bottom right hand side. What I also would like to show you is live streaming is something that your business should be investing in, because it not just sits on the platform as a digital asset, but people are creating clips. I must say, side note, Facebook did stop holding live streaming videos. I guess it was too much for them because it's a lot of data to obviously hold. So now there's a delay. No, not a delay. There's a set time in which the live stream basically no longer sits on Facebook. It's becoming shorter and shorter. I think it's like a week or maybe right after. So it's very important for you to download a live stream as soon as you're finished. But in the context of this conversation, I think it's important for you to understand. It says here, a viewer created a clip of the Obama Foundation's video. So this video was pretty long. I think it was close to 3 hours. I watched half of it. Guilty. I shed a few tears. It was amazing to see. The quality was amazing. The clips were amazing. I don't have corporate America to invest into my live streams, and neither do most of us, and this is a very important occasion, obviously. But the reality is there's a lot to learn from this, because they're able to own that content and repurpose it across different platforms, because coming out of it, you have these shorts, obviously. So from a 3 hour long show, you have a 34-minute clip from that. If we scroll down, it was repurposed across, there's the foundation brand and there's the Barack Obama brand. So again, there are clips coming out of it, but then you also have text. This is going back to what I said before. A live stream isn't just a live stream. A live stream allows you to pull that content and repurpose it across the platforms. So you could have problems like this. Ah. Unfortunately, obviously there's impact and it's important, and but the reality is we all have something important to share, but not all of us have the resources to reach out there to individuals to know that, like me, this is something your business should be doing. So on that note, I'm going to close out. And I hope that you learned something from this. And I will see you next Monday. Have a great week. Que tengan buena semana. Hasta luego.